Hello. Today or this evening, I saw a movie that I've seen before called Glory. It's a movie that should bring anybody to tears. Um, it's highlights the bravery uh, that America showed in fighting against slavery in the Civil War, and of enslaved people standing up and fighting for their rights in uh, in the military. I see forms of that slavery today. Women are being treated as slaves in this sense that they don't have their full rights. They don't make the same amount of money as a man does on the same job. Yeah, that happens. They're asked if they have a job when they are taking care of children. And I've heard people not wanting to give money to a woman that's raising children on her own. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Well, she deserves pay. If she's taking care of children, that's our future. And all children are deserving of a good future. There's slavery going on. When you're talking about undocumented people, you say, why didn't they come in legally? Well, because it was nearly impossible. Costs a good amount of money and a lot of time. When it was easy to just walk across the border and there were people to hire them because we need the labor. They're not going to hire somebody who can't speak the language unless they can hire them for low wages and if only if they need the labor. So that's a kind of virtual slavery. And you say, well, why didn't they come in legally? Yeah, like my forefathers did, they'll say. Yeah, when their forefathers came in, all they had to do was scratch their name, and it didn't even have to be their real name on a piece of paper, and basically that was about all there was to it. And then they were in the country. And I believe they were citizens on the spot. Now, that's not true when nowadays. That doesn't work that way. So that's kind of, and ask Native Americans if you came here legally, please. They were looking for work. If you're talking about people from Mexico, well, the places where they went to work were generally places that we stole the land from them. And that's from our own President Grant, who was around at the time and involved. Is just another example of a powerful nation stealing land. That was his assessment of the Mexican American War. And Texas, they said, we were invited. And when you weren't invited, you kept coming. And then you said, it's ours. And you had a little war. And then when you couldn't hold up and win, you started getting help from the United States. And then you protected yourself by becoming a state. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the history there. And then you mistreated the people who were from Mexico, who fought on your side because they didn't like the leadership there. Wow. That took some real gall. I got to say, that took some real gall to treat people that way. And it takes some real gall to treat people who come up here to work. And you hire them, and then you vilify them the way Trump does. Ah, why is it it's always the really wicked and the criminal that are so very full of angst and punishing attitudes toward other people? Why is that? Well, let me know in the comments. Yeah. Maybe you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Let me know. Why is that? Yeah. We never talk about the people who hire people knowing that they're undocumented. They know that. They never, lose a night's sleep. It's the others, they're virtual slaves, as well. So, yeah, they're the ones that are called a criminal. Yeah, really? You're a criminal. No kidding. Well, yeah. Oftentimes, when we speak ill of others, it's the pot calling the kettle black, as they say. Got to be careful of that and forgive us our transgressions as we forgive those who transgress against us. Really? Wow. So, MAGA, you're not following Jesus. Don't give me that. You're not. You're not even getting close. Anyway, and one religion running the country? I got to remind you that when the Christians of various kinds came over to the United States looking for freedom for their sect, they were killing each other over water baptism, whether you should baptize a baby or not, whether you should dunk people or just sprinkle some water on their head. I guess that works real well if people are paranoid of water. Gives them an option. Yeah, yeah. We're not a theocracy, MAGA. We're not a theocracy. You know, we have religions side by side that jump in together to do good things, and they're not fighting because our government hasn't set up any kind of religion. It just says, "Hey, stay out of the politics, and with your religion, keep your religion to yourself." I think that's a good idea. Anyway, let's all get along. But when we're talking about business people, how do you? Well, what's the cure? Well, let's have the business people have the right to give a green card. You could, have some paperwork for them to fill out. But let them give green cards to people who are working for them so that they have rights and can organize, and they have the right to work. Duh. Let them have green cards and a path to citizenship. They work long enough on these jobs that nobody here wants. Come on. Let them have a path to citizenship. And if people come up and they can't find work, and that's why they came up here, well, guess what? They're going to go back where they came from. They will self-deport. So that saves us a lot of money, Elon. That saves us a lot of money. And the efficiency of Elon Musk, take a good look at that. The way they're taking away things that benefit the middle class and the poor. That kind of economy sounds more like a farm, doesn't it? Where there you have the farmers, in this case the rich, the super rich, who consider savings the way a farmer does, cutting Social Security, cutting veterans' benefits. Really, how dare they? Really, how dare they? Yeah. hmm Well, when on the farm, when you're an old horse like me, maybe you're just not worthy. You've done a good investment. Put me out to pasture, or maybe the glue factory would work, right? Give us to the glue factory. Yeah. Well, you don't need to do that if you take away all the health care. We're just going to die off anyhow, right? Yeah, just put us out to pasture, kind of like early hospice. Yeah. That kind of view of the United States isn't about democracy, that's for sure. If you're a trading partner, you should have the right to organize. Businesses are trading partners and they have the right to organize. And money is not speech. So that's what I've got to say today. Organize, stand up for the greatness in this country, pour into the streets, and speak truth to power.